Yes, and there's the screen. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for joining this session and taking your time to understand a little bit more what connected car data can have, and especially on a multi-layered level, and how it can help change the urban landscape within cities. The objective of this session is to give you an outline on the types of data that we can collect from connected cars, and also what you can do with it, what kind of use case it serves, and how Otonomo works, and how you can obtain that multi-layered vehicle data. So why is this important? Almost every city in the world has increasing number of cars on the road, which are causing traffic issues. Also things like accidents, weather conditions, infrastructure that needs to be updated is a challenge. And of course, that infrastructure needs to be maintained. So how do you maintain it and when do you maintain it is a big question. Another topic that's really also a big impact on traffic issues is ride hailing. So the Ubers and Lyfts of this world, people are using that service, and it's, of course, it's an excellent service, really handy, but it also causes more congestion than you would like. So congestion is not only traffic, it also has other impacts, and those impacts are, of course, the infrastructure that needs to be expanded, safety issues, increased wear and tear of tires, which creates particulate emissions, which are very bad for the health, of course. But also traffic congestion has a financial and economical value. The more congestion, the more damage it does to the economy. I think in every charter of governments and local governments, there's increased air pollution, and reducing of carbon dioxide is high on the agenda. So given the growth of the traffic and the effects that it has, one could ask, how can multi-layered vehicle data help relieve these urban ills? First, let me give you an outline on what Autonomo basically does. So we get connected car data from all kinds of vehicles, passenger vehicles, trucks, commercial fleets, rentals, construction equipment, and of course, electrical vehicles, which are on the rise and which are helping, of course, to reduce carbon emissions in cities. So multi-layered data vehicle makes a huge difference because it fuses all kinds of data that's being derived from the car into what we call floating car data, and it improves the routing and reduces the congestion. It can give safety information back to the driver, so it will prevent accidents. Think about road conditions. It can expedite first medical response, but also repairing cars that are on the side of the road. Alleviate parking problems. Think about when you're looking for a parking space, it's about 30% of the traffic in a city. But most of all, for the driver, it's also about giving back information about road, about conditions, whether it be weather, whether it be about traffic, whether it be about parking spaces. It's about giving value back to the driver. And also how to get better predictions in road maintenance, but also maybe new roads and infrastructure planning. So why is this now so important? Well, and why is this data now coming to the market? Most new cars are equipped with what they call a telematics control unit. And a telematics control unit is gathering all kinds of parameters from the car, whether it be speed, heading, or tire pressure, or oil level. It can be up to 150 parameters per second. And all these sensors are creating data which you could create an actionable insight, and that could be real time into an application or into a message service, or it could be historical over a period of time that you can make strategic decisions about traffic flows or route optimizations. So connected cars are a fact, and connected cars are increasing every year because the new cars are basically equipped with a telematics control unit and making the car basically a driving mobile phone, because it sends the data to the data centers and we connect to that data center or clouds to get that information. So if we look at what we offer, we are basically offering different kinds of data. And it's a little bit like lasagna. And Italians will of course tell you that good lasagna starts with the right ingredients. And the right ingredients from Autonomo are raw data points from different kinds of sources, whether it be floating car data, so traffic data, positioning data, weather data that's really accurate of the position of the car combined with traffic information, hazard data, what's happening on the road, are there any events, are there maybe weather events, is there an accident, construction information, so data where construction is happening, but also road signs can be updated in a real-time fashion or can be used in a historical way by updating digital maps. And of course, parking data. If I can get information about parking, where I can park, where there's a parking spot available. EV data is very much in demand because people want to know where they have to build the charging points. Because if you don't have charging points, it's going to be very hard to scale the number of EVs. And friction data gives you feedback on the road in all kinds of conditions, whether it be dry, whether it be wet, or whether it be snowy conditions. You get information back from the vehicle, from the road. So let's dive into all these kinds of data. So the basic layer is what we call floating car data, and it gives you location of the car, the speed and the heading. So basically longitude, latitude, and you can use it for traffic management, coming back into an application or into a navigation device. It can give you a location intelligence. Where do I need to build certain infrastructure, or even where do I need to build charging points? So it can also be used for research. So it's not only real-time data, it can also be used in a historical manner. And that's for most of the information. So another big component of the data that we supply is road signs data. So imagine that you have millions of cars driving down the road and they are recognizing where signs are, what the position of that sign is, and also the sign type, what you could do with it. Instead of having a car with a 360 degrees camera on top of the roof, you now can have access to data which is being harvested from millions of cars, giving the exact position of signs data and giving almost real-time information about where signs are and how they change. So that increases the quality of the map and it increases the safety of the user. So weather is also an important component, because weather is, of course, something that changes a lot. It not only changes a lot, it also differs per area. It can be very rainy in one side, and 10 kilometers further, it could be very sunny. So these events are also important, that you get a good insight on what the weather is doing, and getting that again from those millions of cars that are driving down the road is very important. And also getting events in like heavy rain or dense fog, gives information back to the driver, which makes it much more safer for him to drive on the road, to reduce congestion, and to avoid accidents. Another big data set that's new is hazard data. So again, we get data back from cars, and that's real time. It can flow back into applications, alerting the drivers that there's an event. It can be a car down the road, it can be an accident, and then the hazard data can be used to reroute or to give better routes to the driver. Parking, as said before, about 30% of the traffic in urban areas is traffic. So people are looking for parking places. Where can I park? And we get information back on information alongside the road, whether there are parking spaces available, but also park in and park out events that can be shared with the community into a application that uses that data to direct people to open parking spaces based on what's really happening on the street. So that reduces the cruising for parking spaces and results into less congestion and, of course, most important, less emission. So EVs are on the rise. They are on the rise in most countries because it's seen as a more viable solution to pollution, and therefore it's very important that not only the cars are being scaled, but also the infrastructure to charge these cars. So again, we can supply historical and real-time EV data, and historical data could be used to understand where are these cars driving in terms of location, but also where are they charging, and how can we build an optimal charging infrastructure so all these cars can get charged. But also think about one of the big things that EV drivers are worried about is range anxiety. So if I can share my state of charge of the battery along with my navigation and communicate with charging points, I can then go to the most efficient charging station, bearing in mind my state of charge and where I'm going, offering me the least time to charge my car in the most efficient way. So the EV layer is a very important part in getting the right infrastructure in the right place. So we also get data from construction machines, heavy machinery, where they are currently working. It gives us a good idea whether those sites are still in place and whether the construction is still going on. So it gives a good verification of the events that's already happening. And this is a new one. The road friction layer gives information about the road in all kinds of situations, whether it's dry, whether it's snowy, whether it's raining. It gives back the friction data about the condition of the car and the road in combination with the road. And again, services can be built up on that to feed back in real time into navigation applications to give more accurate information about the road condition. So I've explained that multi-level data or multi-layer data can be used for different use cases, and that you basically have different sources to come to a very good feedback to the driver, what's really happening on the road based on real parameters and in real time. So what does Otonomo offer? We offer a one-stop shop for vehicle data. So we offer the different kinds of data. We offer it in live mode and in historical mode. So if you want to go 12 months back, we can also give you historical data. We give you one contract that gives access to multiple data providers. So that means that you can have access to about 16 OEMs as we have them onboarded right now. So if you're building a service, or if you want to know more about what's happening in cities, we offer a very fast time to market. So how do we offer that? I explained in the beginning that most cars are equipped with a telematics control unit that are gathering the data. They're sending the data back through a SIM card, which is also installed with the TCU, into the OEMs, and we connect to their IT backend, which is usually a cloud instance. Once we are connected to that cloud instance, we take the data on board and we make sure that all the information security standards are adhered. So we're ISO 27001 certified. We normalize the data and we make sure that all the privacy statements like GDPR are also adhered. So once we take the data on board, we make it one common language, one data pipe to multiple data sets, and we make it available through our APIs. And the APIs can be either streaming or can be historical. And we make it very easy to consume vehicle data coming from connected cars. So now I come to the last slide. Otonomo is a automotive data services platform that uses connected car data to fuel applications, to fuel analytics and insights. We're built on trust. I think trust is one of our central components, and trust is being gained by having all those information security standards, but also having the right privacy standards. There's no data on our platform that doesn't comply to the privacy standards like GDPR. So we have a huge amount of 330 billion miles driven annually, and that's growing every year, every month. It equates to about 4.1 billion data points a day, coming from over 40 million cars. We have agreements with 16 OEMs, and we are a global company. We have people working in the US, both on the East Coast and West Coast. Headquarters is based in Israel. Myself, I work in the Netherlands. I come from the Netherlands, but I also have a German colleague. And we cover with our data over 70+ countries. So I know it's been fast, and I know it's been a lot to digest. So if there are any questions, I'm free to answer them also via the chat, but also if you want to send me an email, it's very simple. It's rob@autonomo.io. I want to thank you for your attention, and I hope that you've learned something about unlocking the potential of multi-layer data for traffic purposes, congestion purposes, whether it be real-time or historical. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you everyone else for tuning in, and don't forget to stay tuned on Autonomy Digital for the rest of the program. Take care.